You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right, and good morning. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. I'm glad to be here with you this morning. Thanks for being with us. Going to have a great show today. Starting off with the weather watch warning. Winter, hasn't. We haven't seen the last of winter. It's not done with us yet, and so unfortunately, we have a weather warning coming up for tonight. And even today is pretty crappy. So, let's say the warnings from right now till Saturday. There's that. There's a lot of sports. Sudbury Wolves and the Sudbury Five both winning last night. Both kind of very important wins for different reasons. Sudbury Wolves clinch the playoff spot for the first time, clinch a playoff spot for the first time in 3 years. And do it in great fashion, and have a little bit of highlights from that game. The Five were in action. They beat their nemesis, the London Lightning, first place team. Haven't been able to beat them so far this year. They won, so that's really cool. The Renee Sweeney case continues, or the Stephen Wright case, however you want to word it. That continues. We have an update on that. There's some interesting stories about how climate change is causing more potholes, or potholes are causing climate change. I'm not sure how it's working, but we have that story. There's so much more. A deep dive into the newly named rapporteur from Justin Trudeau to look into the possibility of tampering with our elections from foreign entities, mainly CHINA. And so we have that as well for our deep dive, a little video. We never got into it yesterday. We have Pierre Benham joining us on the show. So with that, good morning, everyone. Thanks for being with us, Monique. Hope you're having a good morning this Thursday, March the 26th. Good morning, Judy. Hope you are also having a good morning. And also, David, good morning. Stay safe. And I'd just like to welcome all of our people from all around the world who either listen to us on CKLU, on streaming. We're on the radio on the FM dial, but we're also streaming cklu.ca. We're also, you can download the Radio Player Canada app and listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. So we're also streaming on Facebook Live, facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. Thank you to our Facebook, YouTube moderators. You're doing a tremendous job. My hat's off to you. Many, many cuts in the sector, in the tech industry. Facebook just cut another 10,000 jobs, going up to 21,000 jobs cut in the last, in recent months. And so there's a lot of cuts there. So I'm sure a lot of people working at Facebook have a lot more to do these days to make up for those people who have lost their jobs. Good morning, Jason. What's up? For sure. A lot of great stuff to talk about this morning. So let's get her started with the weather, which is more than interesting. It's always interesting, but extra interesting this morning. So make sure to like, share, subscribe, follow. But today, mainly comment, because this is your show. So let's get your comments in. I'll do my best to get them up, to talk, to verbalize them for the radio, for our listening audience. And we'll be back with some weather right after this. Sudbury weather brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. All things Sudbury weather, visit sudburyweather.ca. It is currently -2, feels like -4. There is a winter watch in effect in Greater Sudbury. Winter storm possible tonight into Saturday. I love that word possible, because that means there's a possibility it won't happen, and that's what I'm praying for. Hazard is snow, heavy at times with a total snowfall amount of 15 to 25 centimeters. The snow or rain, wonderful, is expected today ahead of the main event. Snow, heavy at times, is forecast to begin tonight or early Friday morning. Snow will linger into Saturday before tapering off. Discussion is the snow is heavy at times. It'll develop tonight into Friday. It'll quickly accumulate, and visibility may be reduced at times, and the rain may mix with snow throughout the day on Friday, reducing snow accumulations in some areas. There remains some uncertainty with snowfall amounts across the region due to uncertainties with how much rain versus snow, because you won't have accumulation if there's more rain or a lot of rain mixed with the snow, correct? Snowfall warnings or travel advisories may be issued as this event draws nearer. Avoid travel if possible. Poor weather conditions may contribute to transportation delays. If you must travel, keep others informed of your schedule and destination, and carry an emergency kit. Very important. I just got renewed my first aid and CPR, and have to definitely fill some holes there with my own personal emergency kit. There you go. Continue to monitor the weather as you go. So stay safe, everyone, as David says every day on the show. Today, flurries at times. We already talked about what's going to happen today. Tonight, cloudy, 60% chance of flurries or rain showers or drizzle this evening. Snowfall amount about 5 centimeters. Temperature steady near +1. Tomorrow, snow, local amount 5 to 10 centimeters for Sudbury. Wind will be oddly not very much. So temperature falling to -3 in the afternoon tomorrow. Wind chill -10 in the afternoon. A little look at your longer range, which doesn't look as sunny anymore as it used to after our storm. We had all sun icons following the storm yesterday on the show, but it's changed now. Some more clouds for our weather. So tomorrow, periods of snow, blowing snow. Also Saturday, periods of snow, blowing snow, high of -3. Sunday, mix of sun and cloud, high of -2. Same thing, mix of sun and cloud for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way from -2 to +3 in those days. And look at your satellite with all of the clouds rolling in. The clear was yesterday, and the clouds are today rolling in over our area. So again, winter warning. Winter's not done with us yet. Stay safe out there, everyone. Prepare for whatever. If you have to drive, take precautions. Sudbury Weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back with some pretty cool sports right after this. The Sudbury Cubs of the NOJHL have clinched a playoff berth this year. They just rounded out their season. The playoff action will begin for the squad on March 23rd of this year. So congratulations to Sudbury Cubs. They are a dominant team and are expected to do very well. And with that, good morning, Vin. Thanks for being with us, my friend. Hope you're having a great morning. Also, the Sudbury 5 in action last night. And, man, they beat the London Lightning. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe they beat the London Lightning. First time this season. I was kind of a little bit on them, the fact that this is the one team they have not been able to beat. This is kind of like what it looked like. We're not there. We're going to be not there, and not sure what happened to my highlights of the Sudbury 5, but that's very interesting. Now here they are, found them, And here you go. This is the last little part of the game here for
In the
you.
middle of the floor, just like racing's supposed to. Yep.
So
Very good.
racing.
He got hammered, but they didn't call it, and he makes the conversion on the basket. But
We're happy to take you through NBLC.TV, presented by Cujo Entertainment. The fade away from the free throw line is good for number 3. The Sudbury 5 come into the Forest City and pull away the 113-102 victory.
There you go. Sudbury 5 getting her done against the London Lightning last night. Also, the Sudbury Wolves in action at the barn, clinching their playoff spot for the first time in 3 years. Here's a little bit of what the last part of the game looked like.
Landon McCallum, foot race. Is not going to win it, but stays with it. Landon McCallum out front. Conyon keeps it. Delic scores. Chasing after Matt Mania. Mania makes a move. He's got some speed. 1-on-3. Matt Mania around the defender, and Matt Mania scores! Coast to coast, Matt Mania, make it count. That'll do it. The Sudbury Wolves win, clinching a playoff spot in the Ontario Hockey League.
7-3. I'll just fill it in there. 7-3. So Sudbury Wolves defeating the Sioux Greyhounds last night. 7-3, clinching a playoff spot, first time in 3 years. Landon McCallum and Evan Coyen both recorded 2 goals last night. Kevin Broussard made 32 saves, helping to lift the Wolves to a record of 28, 27, 5-3, and within 2 points of Mississauga Steelheads for 6th in the Eastern Conference. So they had a chance mathematically last night. I'm not sure if it's the same tonight after that game to actually get as high as 4th place ending the season. That would be wonderful if that's still mathematically possible. So interesting. Anyways, they can go anywhere from 8th, which they currently are at, or 7th now, but they could end up as low as 8th or as high as 4th. That's how close the division is. So anyways, Sudbury Wolves, congratulations to you, and looking forward to the playoffs. So you might want to look into getting your playoff tickets early, as things will definitely sell out quick, and it's going to be some exciting hockey. A lot of people are talking about the Wolves being a wild card in the playoffs. They weren't expected to do great at the beginning of the season, but after watching their style of game and what they got, they definitely could be a spoiler and go far enough in the playoffs. So watch for that. There's a possibility. They're playing very well, and most importantly, the team is gelling. They have 2 goalies playing very well, which is what you need. Kevin Broussard obviously showing that he has what it takes last night as well. And also Krawcheck, a young, phenomenal goaltender. So they have 2 very good goaltenders going into it. So also curling, might as well give that a shout out while we're here. Curling going ahead this weekend. Also, there are altogether 3 national curling events going on in Sudbury. Curling fans in Sudbury area are in for a treat as far as the 2023 Nickel City Curling Championships began this week at the Jerry McCrory Countryside Sports Complex in Sudbury. Both ice pads are being used, as we said yesterday on the show. There'll be no less than 3 national curling events taking place from March 15th through to the 26th. These include the U Sports Curling Canada University Championships, which is on from March 15th to the 19th, and the CCAA Curling Canada College Championships, also happening from the 15th to the 19th. These events will see 32 of Canada's top university and college teams in competition, consisting of 8 college women's teams, 8 college men's teams, along with 8 university women's teams and 8 university men's teams. Curling Canada said these athletes are the future of the sport of curling and are the next generation of Canadian, world, and Olympic champions. Also, as official hosts of the event, Laurentian University will have teams on the men's and women's side of the university roster. Get out and support our local curling in these national events taking place right here in Sudbury. That's your Sudbury Sports, brought to you by that Sudbury sports guy, Randy Pascal. We'll be back right after this. And SudburySports.com is his website. And I didn't put up the Sudbury Sports logo during our sports. It was Sudbury News, which is all news anyways. So we'll be back with more, with headlines after this. All right, let's try some gas prices this morning. Sudbury gas prices brought to you by GasBuddy.com. Just want to make sure it's .com and not .ca. That's GasBuddy.com/Sudbury. Here you got it. Mr. Gas on Bancroft, the lowest gas price in town, $136.5, followed by Pioneer on the Kingsway, Esso on Falconbridge Road, UPI Energy, Chelmsford. Here you have all your Chelmsford stations. And Costco, $144.9. Isn't Costco supposed to be the cheapest? It's $145 at Costco. Meanwhile, Mr. Gas on Bancroft is $136.5, almost 10 cents cheaper. But that was 4 hours ago. That's the latest. That was 4 hours ago. 1 day ago for the Pioneer on the Kingsway. So they're all, see, the way GasBuddy works is people check in with it, and they're the ones feeding the information to GasBuddy. So you never know. It's not 100% accurate all the time, but it's good to check in on it just to make sure. Make sure I have Pierre Benum supposed to be joining us anytime. 5 minutes ago, but that's okay. We're going to have a great show regardless if he's having a bit of a time coming on or not sure. But we'll be back with more headlines and lots to talk about today. Regardless, we're going to have a great conversation about our headlines and about the events that are important to us today. We'll be back right after this. All right. So speaking of going through the headlines, let's just look at what we got here. CBC reporting, the headline is "Hate Those Pesky Potholes? You won't like what's coming with climate change." Whether that's happening in January as a short little week instead of being cold, or whether it's happening in the traditional pothole season of March and April and May, that's what's contributing significantly to potholes on roadways. Why not? We're blaming so many things on climate change anyways. Why don't we just, potholes. Not the fact that we don't do our roads properly. It's not that. It's climate change. Good morning, Joanne. Thanks for being with us this morning. I hope you're having a great morning. And thanks all y'all for being with us from all around the world. We notice when we look at the analytics that you're joining us from the United States, from the Philippines, from Great Britain, from South Africa, from all over the place. So, so if you're from Sudbury and you're just checking in, welcome. If you want to check in from whatever we talk about in our deep dives, and you haven't even lived in Sudbury, but you enjoy the show, welcome as well. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate you, and this show is for you. This is for us to discuss things that are important to us in our community and in our world. So potholes. Is it because of climate change, really? Really? Good morning. Is it Maurice? I hope I pronounced your name properly. My eyes aren't the greatest, and the writing is so small, but it looks like that. But good morning. It's the first time I think I've seen you on, so welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. And it does look like Pierre is joining us today, and he's got his coffee ready to go. And I didn't tell him about his mic yesterday, but we'll get through the day anyways, and we'll make it happen. Good morning, Pierre. How you doing, my friend?
Good morning. Is there a problem with my mic?
It's bassy. You know, bass in the band, you know, the low end. You got some really nice bass. If you were the bass in a band or the bass in a choir, you'd be the man. Like the sound is booming. Like you got a really good bassy voice. But Rob, the general manager from CKLU, said yesterday, he said, Pierre's mic is really bassy. It's kind of hard to hear him, although you are a bit louder today too, which may help. But anyways, a bit bassy. Yeah. And I forgot to message you and tell you that. So don't even worry about it. We're good.
Okay.
Just to keep that in mind, I guess. So, lots to talk about today. The first headline, Pierre, what do you think about this? So CBC is reporting that potholes are a result of climate change.
Okay. I guess. Well, yes, technically. I think temperature change. Not
Yes, you're
climate
right.
change.
That's a bit of a
It's,
bit of a tricky one there.
If you're traveling in countries like Finland, with similar climates, they don't have potholes. They have higher quality engineered roads, and they fix them.
Bingo. Here, I got to give you.
And
Yeah.
basic-
Yeah, you get 10 points for that one for sure. That's the thing. I keep going back, and those who have seen this show before know that there was an expert being interviewed by our local CBC on the radio, and the expert was from a university down in Southern Ontario, and they're an expert mainly in roads with heavy northern climates and whatever. And the person interviewing him might have been Jason Turnbull at the time. I can't remember. Anyways, he was saying, well, in Sudbury, we have really bad potholes because we got these big trucks and the weather, it's always cold. And the guy was just, well, no, the big trucks shouldn't have anything to do with the fact that your roads are whatever. And your climate really shouldn't have anything to do with the fact that your roads only last 3 years. And he was like, really? That's what we're told. He said, no. Says roads way up north in like the Northwest Territories and stuff have way harsher temperatures than you, and bigger trucks more frequently than you in some of these mining. And they last, if they're engineered, like you said, properly with the proper materials and the proper way to build them, they should last 15 years. And the company that is given the contract to build the roads should give a warranty to the city and say, if something happens with these roads before this date, we're on the hook to fix them at our expense.
Do you remember when Rodriguez was running for mayor? I think it was the second time. That was one of he wanted Inco at the time to pay some kind of fee because he mapped out all the roads that the trucks were using. And I forget all the details, but it was something like he had compared like a normal residential street with a road that has these huge trucks, and the damage from was pretty evident. So his whole thing was they're extracting, they're taking so much out of the community, and then they're wrecking the roads. They should kind of have a road fund in some way, and I think it made a lot of sense.
Yeah,
and it was by some studies and evidence and all of that, but I don't think anything ever happened to it. But I think it was a good idea. I don't know.
Yeah, no, 100%. And this article goes on to say that engineers are working on some fixes for the climate change problem and trying to come up with better materials and things like this. And right away they come out and say, because the people have been complaining so much about potholes, we should all be concerned about the havoc climate change could wreak on our streets. But I go back to this particular gentleman who is an expert, and I wish I would have wrote down his name. And good morning, Dennis. Thanks for being with us, my friend. Jason says climate scams. There is a movement with it, and I think people are benefiting from it politically and financially from this whole climate thing that we're going through. Poor quality materials. Belinda says, yes, that is true. 100% agree. Monique says. Belinda says, wouldn't be surprised if somebody somebody's relative on council has the contract. Well, I think traditionally we've all thought things like that. Obviously, there's no way we couldn't. So Dennis chimes in. He says, I believe the road construction companies just don't do the job correctly due to the facts that they, if they did the job correctly, they'd be more. Oh, yeah, that's right. So the fact that they don't do the road work correctly, they get more work. So if they make a road that only lasts 3 years, hey, they can get the contract again the next 3 years and continually just keep benefiting from it. Bingo on that one, too. I'm going to give all you all for all those comments a nice 10 points for that. So this is the thing, Pierre, and I was thinking the other day on this, and this is a bit of a deep dive when I didn't expect it. But anyways, so watch this. If you know how I gotta pause. I gotta get back to where we are here. That's not you here. That was somebody else coming in. It might have been a Nick. I don't know who came on there.
No,
I wasn't able to.
Sorry, I switched devices.
Oh, okay. Well, let's
better-
switch things
be-
around here.
Better audio.
Oh, it is better audio. So let's
Yes.
get you all set up here with where we
Sorry
were.
about that. I should have told you, but I was obsessing over the sound here. So
Okay. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything, but at the same time, no, it sounds a lot better now, and Rob will be very happy
Okay.
with our working on the sound. So to the climate change issue, you know how we have a war on right now against climate change, like man can actually do something to stop the climate from changing. You know how there's that going on? Let's say we actually turned the tables and we went to war against nature and just tried to shut down nature and used all of our efforts that we could have as man, the power of man, to make a war against nature. Let's just flip the thinking here a bit. Who do you think would win, man or nature?
Well, in the short term, we could easily blow the planet up, but nature will still be here and we won't. So,
Yeah. Nature would come back, fix itself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And everything would be great. That's what I mean. That's the ironic thing about this whole thing. We're like, we have to fight for nature. Nature needs an army. Nature needs us to protect it. And I'm like, I think nature would whoop our butts if we went to war against it. We'd end up killing ourselves. So that's the thing. If we're trying to protect the climate from changing, we're going to kill ourselves in the process. That's what all indicators point to.
Well,
we're going to kill ourselves in the process. And if we went to kill nature, the opposite, we'd kill ourselves in the process. Either way, let's just let nature be nature and let us be us. I think that and work together in a partnership.
Well, the way we're in terms of economics, the way we will kill ourselves with if we implemented like the sort of radical climate change policies like the Green New Deal and stuff, something like 1/3 of the world would starve to death like within 5 years. Like if we actually followed through and implemented those steps, the unemployment, energy, and I mean, we already saw what happened with supply chain. I mean, okay, we're freaking out about toilet paper, but imagine if you can't access energy to warm your house in the winter. So what'll happen is the poor countries will suffer right away, like immediately. So Africa, India, subcontinent, parts of South America, they will get the brunt of it right away. So that the middle class in the West, basically in the North, generally, so we can preach climate change with our, coal-powered vehicles and, texting on our iPhones. The people who are going to feel the brunt of that they will literally starve to death very, very quickly. It's just numbers. It's mathematics. You can't, even if it's 100% true, all of it, you cannot implement what they want without killing a lot of people.
That's what I mean. Us getting involved.
Then the wars and the chaos and all the other stuff. So it's a plan for a nightmare. And you kind of wonder if they've thought about this at the high level. They know it's going to be a nightmare. So, and they're still going to eat steak, and they're going to have the rest of us eating the bugs. So I don't know. It's true.
Oh no, you
You really think
you
Bill
got a bell
Gates-
on that one too, for sure.
You
Yes.
really think Bill Gates is gonna eat bugs? He's got.
No.
I'm sure he owns cattle farms. He's got the best grass-fed, beautiful cows on the planet that he probably personally handpicks when he has his steak dinner, and he's selling us, kibble, cat food.
And meanwhile, he's behind the Beyond Meat thing too, and
Of course.
he actually loves hamburgers himself, but we can't eat
Yeah.
real meat. We got to eat
No.
fake meat and bugs. That's
He's
what.
invested. Bill Gates has lost something like $500 million in the last 7-8 years investing in these alternative food companies that are all failing. Like just the Impossible Burger and the Beyond Meat, those two companies, if you track, you look at where the money's coming from, and they're just failing completely. They're dropping. People aren't. During COVID, the meat, there was some really funny photos. The meat department shelves were empty, and the only thing left on those shelves were Impossible Burgers.
Nobody wants. It's impossible to sell them.
Food.
It's impossible to sell them. That's what it is. It's so impossible.
And they're supposed to be climate change burgers, but the processing, just that one thing, those dumb burgers, the processing involved in those, the energy, the transportation, there's about 9 steps to get from the grain, killing all the rodents and everything, onto your grocery store, and you're paying $6 a burger. It's nuts.
The same argument can be made for battery operated vehicles as well. When you do the real research, when you don't just jump on the bandwagon of, political correctness and yes, I want to save the planet and all that. Who doesn't want a planet to live on that's very healthy? We all want that. However, there's one group of people have hijacked the idea that they only care about the planet and they only have the solution. It's a very small group of people that have a lot of clout and a lot
and it's
of
wealthy people who can afford those cars.
Nobody.
First of all,
and they're not meant to. We're not meant to have lots of cars because we're not meant to go very far, because you can't go very far in them. First of all, imagine planning a trip in an electric vehicle. Oh, we got to stop over every time we got to charge up for 17 hours. Places instead of just 5 seconds to fill your tank. We're not going to be traveling anywhere. The plans are we're not going to be traveling. First of all, it's bad for climate change. Try making an electric plane.
Our cars, our gasoline powered cars are so efficient and clean compared to 40 years ago. Like the numbers are staggering. How much innovation has happened because they had to clean it up. A better thing you could do is leave your car at home in the summer 1 day a week and ride a bike. If everyone did that, that would have way more impact on your community than owning an $80,000 car made with precious metals. That nobody
the system that we have globally has been hijacked by a small group of people, and we're going down this road whether we like it or not, because a lot of people were asleep and not realizing what was happening when it was happening, and a transition has taken place, and decisions were made, and the activists were all educated through the last 30 years in our university systems, indoctrinated to go along with it. And so they have a lot of people that will just all the key buzzwords that they were taught when they were 18 years old.
ESG.
Yes.
It's when that kind of snuck in very, very quietly. People are becoming aware of what it means now, but I bet you most listeners right now don't know what it means.
So explain ESG for us.
ESG is a standard for all. It's for corporate. It's called it's environmental, social, and governance. Okay, so your company, so Deloitte, all the big corporations in the world are now following this. So it's got the diversity, equity thing, it's got the environmental thing, and governance. But what essentially it is a new structure that a company is not on this planet to make money. A company on this, it's called stakeholder capitalism. So it's essentially sort of socializing your corporation. So you have to have you can't just sell widgets now. You have to sell widgets for diversity or whatever, or environmental causes. So what happens is the governments grant companies and reward them for implementing these policies, whether they're science-based, fact-based or not.
So they get a form of corporate welfare if they're going
Absolutely.
along with this. That's what it's ending up.
Absolutely.
So our
That's what it
tax
is.
dollars are paying
Yes.
for these companies to go along with this agenda, and it's not economics. So a lot of these, like this bank fail we just saw, the two second and third largest bank fails in the States, they just get bailed out because they're on the retreat saying how great it is. They're celebrating International Women's Day and they're flaunting how great they're following all of these initiatives.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, their bank is failing. That's okay these days. They'll get bailed out by your tax dollars. Don't worry about it. So that's what you're referring to. That.
Yes. And now, but people are pushing back now very, very gradually because of the high visibility of the World Economic Forum the last couple of years and Crazy Klaus. Everyone's like, what is this ESG thing? And why is my company spending, 5% of our budget on this stuff, like a $4,000 workshop on the weekend for your staff to sit through and watch a PowerPoint from this company that came out of nowhere that is just doing these, preaching this propaganda stuff. So, and basically lecturing your company on how to operate. So you don't answer to your shareholders anymore. You're answering to a government.
Yeah.
And that,
so
you can see where that's going.
It's a socialist fascism kind of thing.
Well, yeah, it is.
Governments and corporations work together to govern us and, provide for us, tell us what to do because they're the ones providing the jobs. So then we have to adhere to government policy and workplace policy. If we want a job, we have to go along and say, I am evil. Everything I think is wrong. I was responsible for everything that's ever happened to any vulnerable population ever in the world. And I need to acknowledge that I'm an idiot and I'm,
you're guilty.
Guilty as charged, and then I can keep my job kind of thing.
It's also, I remember reading a really good article. I forget who wrote this, comparing the medieval kind of the crazy, how, remember everyone was illiterate and they were like the Spanish Inquisition and incidents like that where the mob would come at you as a heretic, or the witch burnings, all those things. So it's exactly the same formation of manipulation of society, where there's this message that you're part of this group, and if you don't obey these 5 or 6 messages, the E, the S, and the G, you are a heretic, you are a sinner, you are all those things, exactly like medieval Christianity. And then the mob comes at you, and they're backed by government, and then the corporations are terrified. They don't believe this stuff. If you talk to people who run these big companies, they're like, yeah, I got to do it. I don't care. I spend 40 grand a year on these dumb workshops. My staff hate it, but I got to do it. Trudeau
part of the economic model now, the new economic model that we have. They will get ostracized, and they will get taken off the stock exchange if they don't go along with it. They'll end up being like a BlackBerry or a Nortel or whatever, because you don't know what they can do to you behind the scenes, these other companies and governments. They just have to make a regulation that you're not abiding by, and you're out of business. Done.
Yeah, so it's a very strange thing. And so the climate change industry is, it's probably $1 trillion sector now. The solar panels, all the stuff. Some of it's good. It's great to save energy, of course.
Yeah, for sure. Why not?
But if we all just lived the way our grandparents lived,
I know,
we would have way more impact than electric cars.
Yep.
Just change your lifestyle a little bit. That's it. Turn lights off. All those things. If 5 billion people did those things, we wouldn't have to have Al Gore lecturing us and all these things. It's nonsense, and a lot of them are failures. Like the what do you call it? The windmills down at the electric plant there, they're all broken. We drove down there last year, and 20% of the windmills are just out of commission, and they don't know what to do with them.
Not effective.
10 stories high. That's just one example. Somebody made a lot of money on government contracts. And the
hypocrisy too, like they're making all these offshore windmills and they're killing all the whales, but yet they don't report that because it doesn't go along with their whatever. If they actually cared about the planet, they wouldn't be driving their private planes, their private jets to their conference in Switzerland for the WEF and very hypocritical.
What I mean,
all around.
why do we
Wrong.
why do we even need okay, if you're a multi-billionaire and you don't care about the environment, okay, fine, you got your private jet. But if you're preaching all this stuff,
Exactly.
then you should have a decree at the next Davos meeting next year. All 500 of us, or however many there are, everyone say aye if you are willing to ground your plane for a year and do this on Zoom next year.
Do what you're telling other people to do. Let's have instead of our
Simple.
big conference with catered with all the best food and whatever. Let's just have bugs. This
Yeah.
conference. Let's eat them. Let's actually do that. Let's actually live the way that we're telling people they're going to have to live, or they.
Because it's never
Be an example.
It's like your parents tell you when you're 7 years old, right? Rules for thee, not for me.
Exactly.
And that's fundamentally, that's what this is. This is fundamentally what it's about. It's infantilizing the population.
Yeah.
It's kind of a matriarchal approach. You can't make your own decisions. You're too young. Let me take care of you. It's for your own good. God damn it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and that's the censorship we're getting in the media as well. You're not allowed to decipher between truth and error. We have to do that for you. So Vin is saying, who greased the wheels replacing galvanized signposts with 4x4 wood or 6x6 at the height of the highest lumber prices recorded? Not sure about that one, but that's a good question. I'm just noticing that around the city, and then noticing that when the vehicles go ahead.
I didn't notice that. What?
I didn't either, but thanks, Vin, for that. CBC, because they're covering this pothole thing, saying it's due to climate change, is another reason why we shouldn't pay attention to them anymore. Climate change, this is coming from, that was from Adam, and Belinda saying climate change, where every politician wants us to, in smart cities, while they take their private jets and eat steak. Well, it's amazing how all the comments are kind of going along with what we're talking about first place. So Miles says,
this is not a radical position. This is common sense.
That's what I mean.
Any normal working person who's paying a mortgage, we're all struggling with groceries. Like, I don't know anybody who hasn't commented on how expensive gas and groceries are. Just those two things. So these people are just they're completely out of touch. It's insane.
So Miles also talking about whatever happened to the ozone depletion.
Oh yeah, no, that didn't work.
No one ever talks about that.
We fixed that.
How did we fix it? That's what I'd like to know. So Adam says ozone depletion wasn't making them enough money as they switched to climate change. Well, that's very, very good. People get used to living in luxury lives. We can live without hydro and power. It's the government saying we need these things to live by.
Okay. Yeah.
Dennis.
Show us, lead by example.
Yeah.
That's all we need to say from now on with all of them. Like, there should be an audit on every MP in Canada. Anyone who's preaching, it's sort of moralizing, telling me how to live my life beyond basics. I want to do an audit of your life. I want to see what kind of car your kid drives.
Yeah.
Where you go for vacation. I want to see how many devices you have in your house. I want to see the size of your house, how much you spend on energy, what kind of fabrics you wear, what's in your freezer. I want to see all those things. And if you don't want to show us, then don't preach. That's
it's like Bernie Sanders, obviously we know he's a communist or a democratic socialist. That's the warm, fuzzy communist, a different word for communist. So he has 3 houses himself. Yeah. He's very wealthy. He writes a book. And they had somebody, when they do the on the streets talking to people, they were going to a Bernie Sanders speech, and they all paid $200 for a ticket. And so the guy was outside saying, "Why do you think Bernie charges you $200 a ticket? Do you think that's right? Like, for what Bernie
the venue
Sanders
doesn't cost that much."
Exactly. How much money do you think Bernie Sanders is making off this speech?
That's what Madonna charges for a concert.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyways, Lee is saying, interesting that we have way more than enough. We produce tons of food, but yet they're saying that we don't have enough to feed everybody, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Their numbers
that's
are always off.
Yeah.
Dennis is saying the deers down in London, they're saying they have COVID, the deer. So
A
be
deer?
aware. Yeah, be afraid of the deer down in London. They got COVID.
A deer, like an animal.
Yeah, an animal. Yeah. Well, they
Oh.
said, yeah, something up here too. They're saying that as well. Like some of our wildlife is got to be
Okay.
afraid of them. So both the fake meat places across the street from abortion clinics. It's beyond meat, all right. Oh no.
Oh no, we don't want to go there.
Ben says Germany
It's a
McDonald's
family
is
station.
trying chicken in McDonald's nuggets, I believe, next month. Oh, trying no chicken McNuggets. Wonderful.
Then it's not chicken.
Well, that's what I mean. It's beyond chicken McNuggets, I guess.
I think they should just the meat lobby should just go to court and just say you can't use the word meat unless you say not meat, because beyond
Yes.
meat implies it's still meat.
Yes.
They should just say not meat. That's what it should be called.
Yes.
Fake meat.
So there's so much going on here, so many comments here. It's one of those days I'm not able to keep up a bit. But holy cow, you guys are awesome. You got all your comments are right on. So the Renee Sweeney trial was continuing yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there was basically someone who reported seeing someone leaving and gave the description, and that's what led to the other person's death, other person's being arrested for the crime in the first place. The other witness, the witness who saw someone leaving,
Who was the man in the beige jacket?
yeah, thought it looked like somebody else. And so, but what was really telling about this testimony was when the person kind of was like, well, I'm not sure anymore. I'm kind of not sure what I saw. Whatever. The police interrogated him, said, harassed him saying, no, you can't change your story now. You know what I mean? You have to say it's this other guy, and threatened him with charging him and arresting him and all this stuff if he didn't go along with his first story, even though he was questioning, his memory on things at the time.
It's
So
1998.
Yeah.
Can you imagine trying to remember detail like this from 1998?
Yeah, no, hard. But even at the time, like he was just questioned a week after it or whatever, and his story kind of changed again. Because again, he was like frazzled, and in the moment, you say some things, and then you think about it again. You go, wait a minute here, maybe I saw this, and so you should be open to an eyewitness when they're saying, maybe I didn't see it like that. Maybe if they're trying to get to the truth. But it sounded like they just wanted a suspect right away. They wanted a quick arrest, and they actually weren't so. They weren't so worried about getting the right guy at the beginning.
It's the classic human flaw that applies to everything we always talk about. Is if you deny truth, if you're looking for a story instead of the truth, you're going to fail, and that's what's happening here. It's just that they wanted to solve the case rather than find the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
And they screwed it up. I mean, it's chances are the guy did it, obviously, but they really messed it up with those I guess is it procedural or protocols? Like they didn't. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's
got to check yourself all the time with
it's
stuff
very
like this.
revealing. There's no doubt about that. So Trudeau names former Governor General David Johnston to be his special rapporteur on foreign interference, even though our fearless leader, who is always talking about Canadians and them wanting democracy, most Canadians are asking for a public inquiry. But Trudeau, the defender of democracy, is not listening to people in Canada, and he says, no, we're going to go this way. And you should be okay with it because he was appointed Governor General by a conservative prime minister. And so you have the optics of unbiased, and you should be happy with that. We're just going to go with the rapporteur for now.
Yeah, but he's still politicizing it. He's still, I mean, this could have happened during Harper as well. It's not about who's in power. It's about China versus Canada. Exactly. It doesn't matter who. He's politicizing it. So, Harper picked this guy, so he's okay.
Yeah.
But the guy has more in common still with Trudeau and Harper than he does with Joe Public. So
exactly.
Is he really gonna? I don't know. Do you imagine the meetings in the back rooms right now? Imagine the people that are circling. Okay, here's what you got to say.
Yes.
This is how it works, right? They send in their advisors. Both parties, I'm sure, or probably all three, they're freaking out because it's a public relations disaster. It's a disaster on so many levels, and they're just like, oh, it's fine. We got this guy. He's one of your people. So I don't know, man.
I know. So let's just check in here with Justin Trudeau himself. We'll get it from the horse's mouth, and we'll be back right after this.
So there is no question that, yes, there was attempted interference from Beijing into our electoral processes, but it's also because of those processes and verification methods we put into place, confidence that they were not successful.
Don't expect Justin Trudeau to call a public inquiry or allow investigations to happen anytime soon. Hi, I'm Brian Lilley, political columnist with the Toronto Sun. Justin Trudeau was in Bridgewater, Nova Scotia on Tuesday and was asked again about the idea of a public inquiry. Trudeau's answer? To go on and on about the processes he already has in place, meaning he doesn't plan on doing much of anything unless forced to.
This is a serious issue that we have always taken seriously, and therefore we're making sure that Canadians will continue to have confidence by appointing an independent expert to look at the entire landscape around national security and election interference from Beijing, but other places as well, and put in place the oversight, the processes, the steps necessary to maintain Canadians' confidence in our democracy and in everything that our national security officials and experts are doing every day to keep Canadians safe.
Meanwhile, at the House of Commons Procedure and House Affairs Committee, Liberal MPs just continue to filibuster. On Tuesday morning, they started a meeting where all the opposition parties are in agreement. They need to call Katie Telford, Trudeau's chief of staff, but also top campaign officials from the Conservatives from the 2019 and 2021 elections. The Conservatives are fine with that. They support it. So do the NDP. So do the Bloc. But yet again, the Liberals are filibustering. This is now the third week of Liberals just trying to talk out the clock to stop this motion from coming to a vote. They are doing anything they can to stop Telford from testifying. I've said it before. I'll say it again. If you wanted to prove that you're guilty, or at least have people think you're guilty, this is exactly how you would act. The committee started at 11 a.m. Eastern, scheduled to go with translators, the committee clerk, and other House of Commons staff until 10 p.m. Who does that? Well, people that want to stop something from happening. And why do they want something to stop from happening? Well, because they have something to hide. This is not looking good for the Trudeau Liberals. This is an issue that cuts across party lines. China's interference should not be a partisan issue, but the Liberals continue to try and make it one. And time and again, they're ignoring the will of Parliament. They're ignoring the will of Canadians with yet another poll showing that the majority, the vast majority, want an inquiry into election interference, even if they trust the results of the last election. That should tell Justin Trudeau something. Unfortunately, he's not listening to Canadians. He's not listening to MPs, and he's only looking out for himself in the interest of his Liberal Party. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment down below. Share this on social media. And don't forget.
So I thought that was pretty. I thought he had some good points there, for sure.
Yeah.
100%. It's funny. I tried to get my Sudbury News to go into the bottom. I got all kinds of things going on here. All right, let's do that.
You got a busy broadcaster.
Oh yeah. I'm the technical guy over here. I'm having technical issues. Anyway, so we'll have to leave it there. It's a bit of a deep dive. I know it just kind of sums it up pretty well there is the state of what's going on in Ottawa. Trudeau.
I just have one sort of thought while I was listening to that.
Yeah.
So ultimately, who is responsible for for policing, for protecting the country? It's the military and CSIS. So why isn't this just a CSIS investigation? Why are there bureaucrats involved? This is above bureaucrats.
Yeah, it's national security. national security
It's-
and
it's
other
national security.
countries. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah,
For sure.
it's not a partisan issue at all, and they're making it a partisan issue, which means there's something questionable going on.
And it
I
almost
don't
sounds
know.
like he's
It's
at a
just-
bit of a war with CSIS or someone in CSIS, because he
Sure.
reprimanded whoever that was that leaked it, that if he finds out who did it, there's going to be hell to pay kind of thing. And any media person who asks him about it is racist. And then so he's trying to stop everyone from getting to the bottom. But I really like how he kind of unpacked it for a legacy news kind of report. I thought that was pretty cool. We need more of that
yeah.
in Canada.
At least they still try. I mean, they
Yeah.
are legacy news, but they
Yeah.
do try. They try. They're at least kind of okay. We got to be somewhat critical here, even though
Exactly.
their hand is in the pot as well. But yeah,
Well, I know we always do a good job, and thanks for doing your camera on the fly. I know Rob's going to be very happy with the new sound. His sound
Well,
is a lot better. But-
my microphone that I got from you is at my other location, so that's why it's not here today.
okay. Well, that's not a problem. So in the future, so I hope you come back sooner than later, Pierre. It's always
Will do.
great to have you on the show. So thanks, and have a
Okay.
great and wonderful Thursday.
Have a good one.
Okay, thanks everyone for sharing comments and being on the show. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU. Thanks everyone. See you then. Bye.